And we are back. You're back. I'm back. The listeners are back. Welcome to the Top 5 Podcast. I am your host, McPeak, and I am joined today by, see if you can guess. Anyone want to guess?
Bueller. Hi.
Either, I forget the line about the tariffs. Lowered or raised? Anyone? Raised. How are you?
Economics. Great segue into the topic.
I can't pick Sloan up in that piece of shit.
Yes.
I don't even have a piece of shit. Yes. Annie, hi. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I am so happy to be here with you.
I'm so happy you're here with me.
Yes.
Always. It's a good time we have.
It is a good time.
Yes. It's a good time when you want to rock and roll. Okay, that is not a movie about high school. We are talking all movies about high school today. Our top 5 movies about high school. There was a rule in selecting said movies, and I believe that was you had to actually see the characters in the high school at some point in this movie. Yes. That's right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm loving my list. My list is very fun. Every single one of these movies I've seen multiple times for a change, and highly quotable, all of them. So very excited.
Yes.
Okay, so we were first of all the regular caveat disclaimer that neither Annie or I are pop culture official scholars. We don't have a PhD in anything about this. We just like what we like, and we like to talk about it, and we like to pontificate and share thoughts and talk about how these top 5 things have, affected our lives and the way we look at things and the whole art imitating life, imitating art stuff. Yeah. Something like that. Anyway, it's just fun shit to talk about.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, how would I go first this go around? Okay.
That would be great, because I'm still like floundering because I have 5 plus. So
5 plus.
Multiple, yes.
All right, cool.
Get some perspective with your number 5 pick. Yes.
All right. So I'm just going to play the John Hughes card right from the get-go. And my number 5 is The Breakfast Club from 1985. So again, if you haven't seen it, there's something wrong with you. I'm just kidding. This is a movie about 5 teenagers from 5 highly recognizable high school cliques who are pulled together on a Saturday to do detention together and write an essay about who they think they are. And as luck would have it, all of these kids are semi-wounded in some way, and they all have their little bits of baggage that they bring to the table that is both funny and heartbreaking, all of it entertaining. And, it's sort of like all of the biases that come with the high school cliques disappears by the end of the day, and they find a way to bond together, and there's some relationships formed, and doesn't change the fact that Anthony Michael Hall is still the geek and will always be the geek, so he goes home alone. But nonetheless, I think if there was ever a movie about high school cliques and the difficulties of being in high school, this is an amazing example of that. And what can we not say about John Hughes, the filmmaker of this era, who pretty much wrote the book on the 80s genre, high school dramedy, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, that's my number 5 is The Breakfast Club. God help any motherfucker out there that tries to remake that film. I will have him or her killed.
I actually have a meme that's basically says that. So yeah. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna if it was on my list before, if you bring it up, then I'm not gonna use it.
Okay.
So have it, because you and I have a lot of we could probably pick the same 5.
It's true. So, we were raised in the same household.
We were with the same VHS tapes.
Yes. Power to the Betamax.
Yeah. So, and God knows we've seen the movie The Breakfast Club I don't know how many times. Could easily quote the whole darn thing.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go a number 5. I'm going to give you the 1984 Footloose high school movies, because it does have to do with, learning about boundaries but also like breaking out of the norm, showing up so kind of like how we were transplanted from, the Chicago lifestyle or,
Suburbs.
Illinois into, the backwoods of Arkansas, and we just don't fit in. So I can really, really appreciate Ren McCormick, wanting to listen to his Quiet Riot very, very loudly, and the small town cops just don't get it.
Right.
But I love that he learns a lot of really hard lessons, and within this high school atmosphere, you've got the bullies, you got the popular kids, kind of all the same cliches about high school. But then Ren shows up, and he's just not atypical of anything that's in that high school whatsoever.
Right.
But somehow he manages to put together the most glorious prom ever. Yes, because dancing leads to drinking, which leads to kids getting killed in car wrecks. And that's like very, very, very
small town
fallacy. It's a very, very bad logical fallacy.
Yeah.
I
love that you brought this movie up. Yeah. I love that because it is a coming of age, and it's what it's like to be the odd person in the high school, to not fit in, but finding. So I met Kevin Bacon once. I met him at a rap party where my neighbor my old neighbor was a set builder, and he had been working on a Kevin Bacon film. And I had told him, like, Kevin Bacon's one of my favorite actors. And he said, well, why don't you come to the rap party with me? I don't usually go to these things, but if you'd like to go, you can go with me. And, by the way, we don't, this is my livelihood, so you can't fawn over any of the actors, blah, blah, blah. Well, Kevin shows up really laid back, glasses, and he's 3 sheets to the wind. And my neighbor finally says, okay, well, let's work our way up to the bar and I'll introduce you. You can't ask for any pictures. You can't ask for any autographs. And so I get to have this lovely conversation with Mr. Bacon and tell him how I've used his films to teach students things. And I've used that scene in Footloose. But what did David do? I have used that scene to talk about the importance of finding your voice. And that's what I really think is one of the greatest messages to come out of that film, is that when you find your voice and you find something that gives you purpose and you accept that, it's like, that's really learning about who you are. Yeah. And that was a beautiful thing to be able to share with him. So
David danced before the Lord. Leaping
and dancing.
Yes.
Leaping and dancing.
So, and then I think I brought up Will and Grace in a previous episode, but the episode that Kevin Bacon shows up on, and then he and Will do the Footloose dance.
Nice.
On that particular episode. Priceless.
Well, shoot, right. Now I feel like I missed a kiss from the last recording that we did, because Ren and Ariel's first kiss is pretty friggin' delightful. Yep.
It is.
Alrighty. Very cool. Good choice, Annie.
Yep.
So we're back to me, right?
Back to you, number 4.
Okay. My number 4 is from 1982, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, featuring the ridiculously iconic Sean Penn character of Jeff Spicoli, along with a plethora of other iconic characters. But I think what I appreciate most about this film is that it's a rather intense look, not a very pretty look at teenage sexuality and some of the choices and mistakes that we can make when we're, a teenager. Jennifer Jason Leigh, I think this was her first big Hollywood film, and she plays the waitress girl at the mall. Phoebe Cates is her best friend, and Phoebe Cates apparently has all these older boyfriends that don't live anywhere close by, which makes you wonder if she really have any boyfriends. But she's here to give all the sex advice to Jennifer Jason Leigh, who winds up sleeping with the pawn or the ticket broker guy, the ticket scalper guy, who's kind of sleazy. And the ticket scalper guy's best friend is the little dude that works at the movie theater who happens to have the hugest crush on Jennifer Jason Leigh. And then you've got this other story, Brad, who's,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, who plays Brad? Judd Nelson. No,
No, not
Judge.
Judge.
Oh
Judge
my God.
Reinhold.
Judge Reinhold is Brad, who has the hottest car in school, and he also has a job, and he has a hot girlfriend, and they're going to be together forever. But he's got a big crush on Phoebe Cates. And anyway, long story short, there's, like I said, there's mistakes made. There's some heartbreaking moments, but we learn from them. And Jessica Coley is just there to provide the ongoing comic relief of the California stoner guy who really doesn't understand why he's in high school or any of the things. And the relationship between him and the teacher, Mr. Hand, is like spot on. I would have loved to have had a teacher like Mr. Hand in high school. But I mean, highly entertaining, great soundtrack, hard movie to watch sometimes, but definitely, another classic example of, your teenage years.
Absolutely.
Just this one's all about sex as opposed to clicks. So there you go.
Truly iconic. Yeah. Truly, again, everybody wants to look like Phoebe Cates in the red bikini, but let's just face it.
Don't they now? Yeah. We can't all
be Phoebe Cates. Yeah.
No, we can't all be Phoebe Cates.
Okay. So in keeping with our trying to not do repeats, I'm going to change order around. Well, that was not on my list, but I'm still going to change my order on. So my number 4 is going to be the 2010 movie Easy A with Emma Stone.
Easy A with Emma Stone.
Yes. So Emma Stone somehow ends up getting this reputation for losing her virginity and using people basically pay her to say that they had sex with her because it raises their street cred, and she becomes somehow known as this slut when she's actually never had sex with anybody. But this movie so from a writing perspective, it's the most cleverly written. It's the best. It's the greatest dialogue. It's one of the best screenplays ever.
Who wrote it?
Love. And because it's so clever. It is so cleverly written, and Emma Stone is phenomenal. I love her in everything that she does, but in this one, she's both strong and vulnerable, and she doesn't know anything about having sex. Yeah, she plays this very little, sexy teenager, and she's trying to pull off this persona that she just, she doesn't know she has no idea what she's doing, which is funny. And then you've got, her mom, Patricia Clarkson, and her dad,
beautiful,
played by Stanley Tucci, and the two of them are just adorable. They're absolutely like wonderful parents, and the way they communicate with their teenage daughter, it's like, I'm not saying that I modeled my parenthood off of these movie characters, but I really, really adore these parents.
Nice.
But again, it's kind of like, I've never seen an Emma Stone movie I haven't liked, but this one I really loved, and it takes place in a high school, and it kind of shows, to me, it's like, you don't have to be, it's trying to get away from that everything has to be about sex, the over sexualization of our teenage kids.
Sure.
And this kind of pushes you into, let's not, it's not a bad thing to be a virgin when you're a senior in high school. So that's what I like about it. And her character, Emma Stone's character, is so smart and so funny. So that'll be my number 4, Easy A from 20.
Well, alrighty then. I reckon I need to see that because I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
All right. My number 3 is from 2004, and that is the wildly odd and horrifically silly Napoleon Dynamite, played by John Hader. Heater, is that how you say his name? Yeah. So this is such a kooky movie. And I remember going to see this did I see it by myself? No, my friend Laura went with me. We had a screening to see this in Arizona. And the first thing that they hand out with the swag is some chapstick. Of course, I don't get the joke until, we get through the film. And I'm like, oh, now I understand why we have this chapstick.
I thought you were going to say they give you Vote for Pedro t-shirts.
No, I would have loved to have a Vote for Pedro t-shirt. Let me tell you, that would have made my life. I'm pretty sure I can buy one on on Redbubble
God.
or T Public. But anyway, so yeah, Napoleon is just this sort of wacky, what they call him, a sad sack, luckless loser that has permeated high schools for seemingly centuries. He has no friends. He's a sometime artist and draws these wicked animals like it's a liger. It's a cross between a lion and a tiger. It's pretty much my favorite animal. And he has this really weird brother named Kip.
Oh God.
Who,
Oh
yeah, I've
God.
been chatting online with all these babes. just oh my God. It's just really,
Man.
really crazy. It's such a wacky movie. But anyway, Napoleon, I think if I remember correctly, Pedro comes to town and he's the new kid. And he and Napoleon kind of become buddies. And Pedro winds up running for student council. And instead of a skit, he didn't know he had to do a skit. So Napoleon does this crazy, silly dance towards the end of the
Canned heat
of the film. Very weird dance move. You can't see me, but I'm trying to do some Napoleon dance moves. And what I just remember the most about that movie, well, no, that's not true. What I remember the most is like, go fix yourself a gosh darn quesadilla. But he finally does, he has a prom date and it's sweet little, oh my gosh, what is her name? Not Jenna Malone. Who's the other one? Oh my gosh, why does this always happen to me? Anyway, Tina Majorino is his prom date. And in true 80s fashion with the corsage on the wrist and the hair is like all brushed to one side. And the classic dancing, I'm going to put both my hands on your shoulders. He's going to put both his hands on my waist, and they dance at the prom, and then they play the tetherball at the end of the movie to the song I Promise You, which I had a next door neighbor in my residence hall the first year I was an RA who was in love with that song and played it like nonstop over and over and over and over again. So in the moments where I'm hearing the song up, I Promise You, and I can try to think of Napoleon Dynamite, inevitably I wind up thinking about the shitty neighbor that I had that would not stop playing that song. But
yeah.
So again, another great high school movie about what it means to be an outsider. This one is just really bizarre, off the cuff, and some really crazy, funny shit going on with the. Can I borrow a chapstick?
Yeah, that was in my. It's in my spreadsheet. It just wasn't. I was kind of playing it out, but
didn't make it to the top 5. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull some Napoleon quotes to put at the close of the show because I feel like I need to have some Napoleon moments. That is my number 3, 2004. Right.
So my number 3 will be from 2008, which won the Oscar for Best Writing Original Screenplay, Diablo Cody. The movie is
Juno. Nice.
I love it. Not actually for the character of Juno, but for Michael Cera. And the relationship that I love is actually what's happening with Jennifer Garner and Jason Bateman, this couple that is going to adopt the Juno's, high school pregnancy baby. But the reason I love Michael Cera so much is, again, he's an oddball. He runs cross country. He plays folk guitar, and he's just this hopeless nerd that for some reason this, girl decided to have sex with him and ended up getting pregnant as a result. Yes, Juno is the main character, but it's actually, that is not my favorite character of the film. It's all of the other supporting people. And then Allison Janney and J.K. Simmons playing her parents.
They're hilarious.
Crazy good.
They're hilarious.
And the best friends. So it's like, you couldn't have cast this movie any better. But again, I'm gonna say it's fantastic because of the writing of Diablo Cody. Yeah. She is a brilliant writer, really, really captures quirkiness and, and we seem to have this love affair with oddball characters, but captures the oddball probably better, like in a 20-year span between that and Napoleon Dynamite coming out within a couple of years of each other. It's kind of nice, like now at the forefront. That's when like geeks started to become popular, I suppose, or like it wasn't so unpopular to not be, the perfect 5'10" blonde,
right.
110 pounds. So yeah, I really love Juno. I love the message. Especially my favorite part about that movie is not necessarily the high school aspect of it, but Jennifer Garner's character and decides to adopt the baby on her own. Beautiful story. But I liked also, it's a high school movie, and it does not glamorize high school pregnancy at all. And I think that's important. That's the important message to take away from it, is that it was actually a tragic thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But this teenager chose to do, I'm not going to say responsible thing, but actually made somebody else's life, blessed.
Yeah.
With a child.
So true. Yeah. I love that movie a lot. Yeah. I'd forgotten about, I had heard, did I say this on Instagram? A number of things, but I heard that Diablo Cody was helping Madonna write the screenplay of Madonna's life. And I further heard that Julia Garner from Ozark was going to play the young material girl in her early days. I am very much hoping that happens. I'm hoping that's really a thing, because I would enjoy that very much.
That would be amazing.
I think Julia Garner just picked up her 3rd Emmy for Ozark, so I guess I need to go back and watch Ozark again. It's been a while.
Okay, so a biopic is in pre-production, written by Diablo Cody.
Okay.
Directed by Madonna, starring Julia Garner.
Madonna's directing her own biopic?
Yep.
Oh, that's probably. What's that?
According to IMDb.
If I were Madonna, I wouldn't have picked myself to direct my biopic, but I am very much not Madonna.
We will see.
Yes, we will. All right. Number 2. My number 2 movie is from 1999, and it stars Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick and Chris Klein. I am talking about Election. Again, not a very uplifting story a lot of the time, but we all know a Tracy flick, I think, or have known a concept of a Tracy flick.
Yes.
The girl that has been involved in everything since the day she was born, and resume builder and opportunistic thinker and all of the things. And so she is running for student council president. She's running for student council president, and is currently running unopposed. And the teacher, played by Matthew Broderick, manages to convince another character played by Chris Klein to also run for president. So the movie is basically about these 3 students, and then the other girl that runs for president is the football player's younger sister, Tracy, not Tracy. My God, I can't remember her name either. Why I'm having a 50s moment tonight with my brain.
Yeah.
But so this movie is all about the election for student council president. And along the way, we learned a number of not so pleasant things about Tracy Flick and poor Matthew Broderick's character and all of the things. And it doesn't really end well for anybody, but it's very funny, very bitterly funny. Screenplay by Alexander Payne, who would go on to win a couple Academy Awards for screenplays along the way. He also directed Sideways. And The Descendants with George Clooney. He's a really, really good filmmaker. I like Election because it's another way to look at the difficulties of high school. And I think from a teacher's standpoint, just how much there is to deal with. To be a high school teacher, I think, is probably one of the toughest jobs a person will ever do. I was trained. I was educated to be a teacher, and not that I decided not to do it. I found this career in higher ed instead. But for folks that willingly go into a classroom, especially in public schools, I think there's a lot of shit to deal with. It can sometimes be a thankless job, but when you do make the connections in the way that we do see some very good connections be made in this movie, and those are happy things. But it is acerbic, and angry and funny and all of the things. Very well written. Yeah, very
amazing satire.
yes,
Ridiculously good satire. Yeah.
for sure. Yep. 1999 election.
Okay.
That's
I love
it. 2.
I love it. Okay. This was hard. My number 2, and it's funny because we've actually talked about this. We just brought this actress up, but Julia Garner is actually in this film. But my number 2 is The Perks of Being a Wallflower from 2012.
I have not seen that.
Oh boy, it is.
Yeah.
So this, high school freshman played by Logan Lerman meets these 2 seniors played by Ezra Miller and Emma Watson. And he has like some significant psychological issues. And then these 2 seniors are dealing with both being gay and then also having the reputation for being a slut, and they're best friends. And so like everything, like a lot of trauma that they are trying to help each other navigate. But Logan Lerman, I'm not gonna do a spoiler alert on this, but this kid, Charlie, in this movie, I love. I like, if I was a high school freshman, I would have been like putting notes in his locker every day. He is so, but they're also extraordinarily troubled. And it's also really cool because, Paul Rudd is the teacher.
Oh, I love me some Paul Rudd. Yes, I do.
The cool teacher. He's the good teacher. He's the one that's like, encouraging Logan or Charlie's, the character Charlie. But again, so in terms of like being filmed in high school, it hits on the pressures that, we have, what happens when you find your tribe. So Logan, the character Charlie, in this weird way, finds this tribe of people that these are the people that I need to be with. And they do Rocky Horror Picture Show, live performance type things.
Very cool.
But it also hits on a lot of the stresses that high school students experience. And a lot of what's in this movie, I see reflected in the lives of my own children.
Wow.
These days in high school. And this movie's from 10 years ago. It doesn't even pale in comparison to what teenagers are experiencing today in high school.
Yeah.
It's getting exponentially harder to be a kid. But you need to see it. If you've never seen it, I will not spoil it for you, but it's extraordinarily powerful. And it really speaks to the experience of high school kids and how they process trauma. And it's touching. And it's, when you find your tribe of people, those are the ones that are going to pull you out of it.
That's so true. That's a really good point. I will make it a point to check this one out.
Please do.
I have an honorable mention.
Okay.
And my honorable mention is from 1983, Tom Cruise in Risky Business.
Oh.
This was not his first film, but it was the film that made him into a really, really big mega superstar. He had done 2 other movies about high school. And actually, now that I'm talking about Tom Cruise again, I will also mention the movie Taps that Tom Cruise was also in, which is a movie about high school, but a very different kind of high school, military high school, with Timothy Hutton and Sean Penn. Taps is an exceptional movie, but I put Risky Business on my list because I think it's because Joel Goodner is a high school senior. He's not super mega top of his class. He's not the big nerd either. He's kind of rides the bell curve of the middle of the road, good enough grades that college is definitely, it's going to happen for him, but he has rich parents. They live in a very rich neighborhood, Glencoe, Illinois. Yeah. Dad has a Porsche. Mom has a very expensive crystal egg that sits on the mantle. Anyway, the parents go out of town. What the fuck? And Joel is left by himself to entertain himself, go to school, but he decides at some point to pick up a hooker, an escort, and it just all goes on from there. There is a scene with the Porsche and being chased by Guido, the killer pimp. I'm gonna throw up on you, Joel. I have a trigonometry exam tomorrow. But it's also a movie about solving problems because Joel gets himself in a lot of trouble, and Guido, the killer pimp's people, steal all of his family's shit, which he then has to buy back, having turned his home into a cat house on the same night that the interviewer from Princeton is coming to town. So long story short, it's a happy ending for Joel. He gets into Princeton. He gets to make love on a real train with Lana, the hot Rebecca De Mornay hooker. It's fun. It's funny. It's a interesting look at entrepreneurship and what that time of life is like for you when you're thinking about going to college.
Yeah.
And all of the distractions that can get in your way. But it's just, yeah, I love that. When I think about Tom Cruise's 3 films outside of Endless Love, which I think he was in for five seconds, those first 3 movies that he did before he was a big star, they were all movies that took place at high school. So Taps, Risky Business, and All the Right Moves, all high school movies, all a very different aspect of high school. You've got rich suburban city boy, you've got hometown football player, and you've, military school.
Yeah.
The things in between. So that's my honorable mention.
I love it. I'm trying to double check, and yes, I can confirm that there was a scene from my high school. So my honorable mention, I changed it just now because of what, but is going to be actually, let me get the year on this, the 1985 Better Off Dead with John Cusack. Because we both have, we got Booger, but the wisdom of Booger, if you will. So Booger, like from Revenge of the Nerds, which is a college movie. But Better Off Dead, you got John Cusack, the hopeless. He's just a normal high school kid, not very great, not very awesome. But, his girlfriend breaks up with him, and he has this friend who's going to help him win the ski competition to win the girlfriend back when there's the French exchange student living in their house who he should actually be in love with. And then there's the paper boy who's trying to get his $2.
I want my $2.
But the greatest line, and I got to look the actor who he's so good. And when he shows up, Curtis Armstrong. When he shows up in anything he does, I just love him. I just love it. But John Cusack is getting ready to do this really, really hard, ski line, this route. And Curtis Armstrong says, okay, go that way really, really fast. If something gets in your way, turn. And it's just funny that actor he gets the best lines. He's the one that tells Joel in Risky Business, sometimes you just got to say, what the fuck? Yeah. So I changed it last minute. Better Off Dead. One of my favorite. I love the mom.
Oh my gosh.
I hate the girlfriend. I'm glad that she dies in Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, great movie. So that'll be my honorable mention.
That's a good one. I want my $2.
Okay, so what is your number one?
My number one is from 1995, a classic retelling of Shakespeare's Emma. This would be Clueless. With Alicia Silverstone, Stacey Dash, oh God, what's his name? Donald Faison, and the very adorable Jeremy Sisto. And Brittany Murphy, may she rest in peace. Yeah, classic retelling of Emma, and another, interesting story about high school cliques, told from the viewpoint of a very spoiled rich girl who lives in Beverly Hills. I don't actually believe that she goes to Beverly Hills High, but I don't know. When you live in California and you start noticing some of these things, like the scene where he says everything in LA takes 20 minutes. And he asks her where she is, and she says Sun Valley. And I'm thinking about Sun Valley's not very far from I live. What in the hell is a girl from Beverly Hills doing at a party in Sun Valley? I can't ever imagine that happening. However, she's hilarious. The way that she puts together the little matchmaking for the teachers and the little relationship with Christian and trying to make Brittany Murphy into a cute, popular girl. It's just all very cute, but she has her own struggles like any high school teenager is going to have, but she navigates her way through them with, somewhat ease and joy, but has some heartbreak along the way. And speaking of Paul Rudd, she does wind up with Paul Rudd, who's not in high school. He's the stepson or the former stepson
Yeah.
who still hangs around and is in college. And it turns out that they do love each other. And that's a very cute first kiss moment as well. That movie it does nothing but bring me joy all of the time. And I love watching it. And she's delightful.
She
in it.
is.
Oops, my bad. Should I leave them?
And because I'm gonna go back. I think all the movies that we've chosen have the thing they have going for them is really, really strong writing and character development, but very clever. And again, that kind of like ties in with Juno and Easy A. Really, really brilliantly written, quite frankly. And
I would totally echo that across the board. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. My number one is a totally like doesn't fit in any of the movies that we brought up so far.
Okay.
But it is technically a high school movie.
Okay.
It's a prep school. So 1989 Dead Poet Society.
Oh, wow.
Prep movie.
Yes. It is high school. It's totally high school.
High school. The first time I watched it, I cried my eyes out. The seventh time I watched it, I cried my eyes out. First time I watched it with my kids, we all cried our eyes out. And so if you haven't seen it, Robin Williams becomes the new English teacher for this prep school in the 1950s, if you will.
Yeah.
And finds a way to inspire this group of, let's say, they are privileged,
yes,
if you will, but he's a bit of a maverick, and he tells them to tear the first 20 pages out of their textbooks because this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And but when I finished watching it, like everybody, when you're in high school, you want a Keating, you want a Mr. Keating, you want a teacher that you love so much that you're going to stand on your desk and say, "Oh, Captain, my Captain."
Mm-hmm.
All like, so when it comes to thinking about high school and the teacher, the teachers that get us through, if only we had a Mr. Keating in our life, we would all be better for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's heartbreaking what these young men are going through, what they're experiencing, and the pressures that are put on them. And they are definitely privileged, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't experience hardship. And I think that sends a very strong message to, it's just a very strong message in itself. Yeah. But Robin Williams, God rest his soul, God bless him. He was fantastic and inspiring just absolutely inspiring to watch. And at the end of the day, like I will quote Walt Whitman, I will sound my barbaric. And I will talk to my students today about, don't we all need a Keating in our life? And if you haven't seen the movie, you need to see the movie. So it transcends, it's like if you can, anybody outside of high school can relate to what these characters are experiencing, the longing for the girl, the beautiful, popular, girl, and wanting to be unique and wanting to be who you are. So I think it shows what happens when people get trapped inside an identity they don't identify with.
Yes.
And then it encourages us to tell our children to be who you are. So I could talk about it a lot longer. But my number one, Dead Poet Society.
Yeah, Annie, that is a great selection. And, Robin Williams aside, launching the careers of some folks that have gone on to continue do amazing work. Yes. The least of, Ethan Hawke and what he tries to tell Mr. Keating at the end of the movie, and the whole that. Okay. So movies that we know we're going to cry the second that the one particular scene happens. Well, I know I'm going to cry when Robert Sean Leonard puts the crown on. And I know I'm going to cry the minute that Ethan Hawke starts to step on top of his desk. It's, just the way that these boys came of age themselves as performers. Robert Sean Leonard, amazing. And I, Josh Charles, who would become Will Gardner on The Good Wife, and one of my, very favorite actors. Josh Charles has done some wonderful, wonderful things, but they all cut their teeth with Peter Weir and Robin Williams in that amazing, amazing film.
Yeah.
Very excellent selection, Annie.
Yeah.
Excellent selection. So, all right. Recapping.
Okay. So do you want me to do mine first?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, because you're the host, you get to go last.
Oh, well, okay.
Yes. Honorable mention, Better Off Dead. 5, Footloose. 4, Easy A. Love Me, some Emma Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Juno. Love Me, some Michael Cera. Number 2, Perks of Being a Wallflower. And number 1, everybody needs Mr. Keating, Professor Keating.
Amen to that. My honorable mention was, I'm going to throw up on you, Joel, Risky Business. Breakfast Club, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Napoleon Dynamite, Election, and Clueless. Rounding out. And wow, what a fun topic.
Oh, yeah.
And college movies next. That's going to be hard.
That's going to be hard fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one. I have a couple ideas.
Okay. I have a few on my spreadsheet.
I have a couple that I'm working through.
Yep.
Okay. Well, again, a couple of things that we need to share with you all. And that first one is that, Annie and I can sit around and do this all day, but we would love to have you come and join us. And you can do that in a number of ways. You can shoot us an email at hello@thetop5podcast.com. We would love to know what you think of our lists. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you want us to jump in the lake, or do you have a top 5 concept you want us to take on? We would love to invite you to come chat with us or make it happen. We would love to read your thoughts on the show. So if you got shit to say, shoot us an email and we will discuss it and share your stuff. And you can come join me and Annie, or me and Heather, or me and Doug, or me and Chris, or me and Adam anytime by emailing us at hello@thetop5podcast.com.
Awesome.
There you go. So for Annie Pruitt, my delightful sister and favorite co-host. Again, I said that again. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble with my other co-hosts. I love you all, but
you're legally obligated to say
I'm legally obligated to say that. Yeah, I'm free every day. It's in the Constitution. Okay. I'm Chris. She's Annie. We thank you for downloading this week's episode, and we will catch you next time.
Yes.
On the Top 5 Podcast.